The bustling retail store was known for its high-end products and exclusive clientele, but behind its polished exterior lay an undercurrent of arrogance. Henry, the proud and pretentious manager, believed he could judge anyone by their appearance. So, when a humble elderly woman walked in, dressed in modest clothing and carrying a worn purse, he was quick to dismiss her as unworthy of his time. Little did he know, this unassuming woman held the ultimate secret: she was the owner of the entire company. What began as a humiliating encounter for her would soon turn into a moment of reckoning for him, as her true identity came to light in a way that shocked everyone present. The store buzzed with the mid-morning rush, its aisles filled with customers browsing the neatly arranged shelves. In the middle of it all, the manager, Henry, stood tall, barking orders at the staff and occasionally flashing a charming smile at select patrons. His tailored suit and polished demeanor reflected his pride in running one of the most prestigious retail stores in the city. To him, appearances were everything, and those who didn't meet his standards were unworthy of his time. At the entrance, an elderly woman stepped inside. Her attire was plain, a simple dress and a coat that had seen better days. A scarf loosely tied around her neck completed her modest look. In her hands, she held a worn leather purse that looked as though it had been used for decades. She walked slowly, her eyes scanning the store with quiet curiosity. Henry noticed her immediately. His face twisted into a frown as he watched her. To him, she looked like someone who didn't belong. He strode over, his shoes clicking sharply against the polished floor, and stopped just short of her. "Excuse me," he said, his voice clipped. "Can I help you with something?" The elderly woman looked up at him, her face kind and wrinkled with age. "Oh yes," she said softly. "I was hoping to look around. I've heard such wonderful things about this store." Henry raised an eyebrow, giving her a once-over. "I'm afraid this isn't the kind of place you'd be comfortable shopping in. Our products are high-end and cater to a certain clientele." The woman blinked, surprised by his tone. "I understand," she said gently, "but I'd still like to take a look if that's all right." Henry sighed, exasperated. "Suit yourself," he muttered, before turning on his heel. Under his breath he added, "Just don't waste anyone's time." Unperturbed, the woman wandered through the store, taking her time to examine the items on display. She admired the craftsmanship of the jewelry, the quality of the clothing, and the intricate designs of the home decor pieces. Her slow pace and genuine interest drew the attention of a few staff members, who began to whisper among themselves, wondering who she was and why she was there. Henry, meanwhile, continued to keep a wary eye on her. When she paused to ask a young sales associate about a piece of jewelry, he intervened. "Ma'am," he said sharply, "these items are quite expensive. Perhaps it's best if you don't handle them." The young associate looked uncomfortable, but remained silent. The elderly woman smiled kindly at Henry. "Thank you for your concern, but I'll be careful," she said. Henry crossed his arms. "Look, I don't mean to be rude, but we have a certain image to maintain here. Maybe you'd feel more at home at one of the stores down the street." A hush fell over the nearby employees as they overheard the exchange. The elderly woman's expression didn't falter. Instead, she nodded slowly. "I see," she said. "Well, thank you for your time." She turned and began to walk toward the exit. Before she could leave, a well-dressed man entered the store, his face lighting up when he saw her. "Madam Evelyn," he exclaimed, rushing over to her. "What a pleasure to see you here today." Henry froze, his confusion evident. He watched as the man, who he recognized as a prominent figure in the company's executive team, greeted the elderly woman with the utmost respect. "I wasn't expecting you," the man continued. "If I'd known, I would have prepared a proper welcome." Evelyn smiled warmly. "Oh, no need for that," she said. "I just wanted to see how things were running here." Henry's stomach dropped. "Madam Evelyn?" he stammered. The executive turned to Henry, his brow furrowed. "You don't know who this is?" he asked, incredulously. "This is Evelyn Harper, the founder and owner of this entire company." Henry's face drained of color. "Owner," he repeated, his voice barely a whisper. Evelyn turned her kind eyes to him. "Yes," she said calmly. "I started this company many years ago. It's grown quite a bit since then." The staff stood frozen, watching the scene unfold. Henry struggled to find his words, his earlier arrogance replaced by panic. "Madam Harper," he began, his tone now deferential, "I had no idea. Please forgive me if I was." Evelyn held up a hand, stopping him mid-sentence. "There's no need for excuses," she said, "but I do believe that everyone, regardless of how they appear, deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Don't you agree?" Henry nodded quickly, his face flushed with embarrassment. "Of course, Madam Harper. I deeply regret my behavior." Evelyn looked around the store, addressing the staff and customers who had gathered. "This store is a reflection of my values," she said. "It's meant to be a place where everyone feels welcome, where kindness and professionalism are at the forefront." She turned back to Henry. "It seems there's some work to be done to ensure that vision is upheld." Henry swallowed hard, realizing the gravity of the situation. Over the following weeks, Evelyn made regular visits to the store, working closely with the staff to create a more inclusive and welcoming environment. She implemented training programs to emphasize the importance of customer service and respect, regardless of a person's appearance. Henry, humbled by the experience, worked hard to redeem himself. He listened to Evelyn's guidance and began to change his approach, treating every customer with the care and attention they deserved. Evelyn's leadership and wisdom left a lasting impact, not only on the store, but on everyone who crossed her path. Her humility and grace served as a powerful reminder that true success is measured not by wealth or status, but by the way we treat others. In the end, Evelyn's visit became a turning point for the store and its employees. The values she instilled transformed the business into a thriving community hub, where customers felt valued and appreciated. And while Henry never forgot the lesson he learned that day, he remained grateful for the chance to grow under Evelyn's watchful eye. For Evelyn, it was never about teaching a lesson. It was about staying true to the principles that had guided her throughout her life. As she walked through her store, one last time before leaving for the evening, she smiled, knowing that the legacy she had built would continue to inspire others for generations to come.